Defense closing argument, United States v. Sean Combs, Attorney 2. Delivered with emotion, defiance, and courtroom clarity, preserving every dramatic beat. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have not been called here simply to judge a man. You've been called here to draw the line between private sin and public crime, between power and prosecution, between truth and theater. Because what we have witnessed over the last 4 weeks is not a case about trafficking, not a case about racketeering, but a case about reputation, sex, and power, and how easily all three can be twisted into a crime when a man becomes too powerful, too sexual, and too rich for his own good. The government has spun this story of Sean Combs as the mastermind of a criminal sex trafficking empire. They say he hid behind his fame, cloaked his crimes in music videos and lavish parties, used assistants as lieutenants and women as pawns. But you know what they didn't bring? One single blueprint. No organizational chart, no internal memo, no whistleblower testimony, no financial record showing $1 of profit from any enterprise. What they brought instead were old text messages, blurred memories, hearsay, and high drama. They want you to believe that passion is proof, that sex is evidence. That shame is guilt. But the law doesn't work that way. And thank God it doesn't. RICO, under Turquette, demands structure, demands continuity. It demands a common purpose. What did they bring you instead? Cassie Ventura and Jane Doe, two ex-girlfriends, separated by time, emotion, and personal motive. That's not a criminal enterprise. That's a man with a type. Jane Doe stayed for 2 years. Housing, trips, clothes, gifts, and yes, sex. But she signed a love contract, not a non-disclosure about forced labor. You call that trafficking? You call that fear? She called him baby in texts. She sent him nude photos while away. She said she missed him. Haven't seen you in 5 months, she said. Does that sound like captivity to you? Overruled, the jury will consider the context. And let's talk about Jane Doe's anonymity, granted immunity, hidden name, no cross-exposure. Why? What's she hiding? Has she ever done this before? Has she ever orchestrated a shakedown? Sustained. The jury will disregard the question. Disregard it? I won't, because that's the question that should be on everyone's mind. Let's move to Cassie Ventura. Her relationship ended years before Jane Doe's began. There's no overlapping timeline, no evidence of coordination, no network of crime. This isn't a chain, it's a scrapbook, a collage of broken relationships rewired into a federal indictment. They call them freak-offs. They say the parties were drug-fueled, coercive, abusive. But here's what they won't say. Where are the other guests? Where are the underage girls? Where are the prostitutes with receipts? Where are the drugs? Where's the staff testimony confirming any of it? These freak-offs sound like after-hours relationship role play, not organized crime. Let me tell you what this really is. It's a honey trap. It's an exotic fantasy gone wrong. It's the tragic, tired story of powerful men seduced and shaken down by women who know exactly what they're doing and exactly what they can get. And the victims, the real victims, are the wives, the mothers of their children, the women who stood by these men while they were out being freaked off and filmed. This is not sex trafficking. This is scandal, and you should not be asked to criminalize it. Now let's speak plainly. Where are the gangs, the rackets, the prostitution rings? Where are the hotels packed with victims, the stash houses, the chains, the burn phones? Miss Ventura wasn't chained to a radiator. Ms. Doe had full access to a cell phone, a condo, and the spa. If this were a real trafficking case, we'd have one 14-year-old girl somewhere calling 911 with 2 minutes of freedom. That's what real victims do. But what did you see? 2 grown women, both of whom returned, both of whom maintained contact, both of whom profited from the lifestyle until it didn't suit them anymore. Argumexler, watch your tone, but proceed. Thank you, Your Honor. But let's not kid ourselves. This case is not about victims. It's about vengeance. It's about the media. It's about sending a message to men like Sean Combs that you can rise, but you'd better not rise too high. The Mann Act. Let's talk about that dinosaur. Born in 1910 to criminalize interracial relationships. Used to prosecute Jack Johnson, a black boxer, for crossing state lines with a white woman. Now, resurrected in 2025 to do the same to Sean Combs for traveling with his girlfriend. No payment, no prostitution, just two people in love, or at least in lust. This isn't criminal law, it's moral panic. And what about the red flags? Let's run them back, shall we? I left him voluntarily, she said it. That's not coercion. That's a breakup. Jane Doe. I started the fight. She said it's not abuse. That's a couple arguing. KK, the so-called lieutenant, didn't even work for Mr. Combs until 2016, yet the prosecution says this enterprise began in 2004. That's a time machine, not a conspiracy. And if you believe any of this is trafficking, ask yourself, where's the profit? Where's the money trail? Where's the motive? A criminal enterprise with no money? With no goal? That loses millions for one man's pleasure? That's not an enterprise. That's indulgence. And the only thing Mr. Combs is guilty of is being a trick, not a pimp, not a boss, not a trafficker. Let me leave you with this. If there is no coercion, if there is no shared criminal intent, if there is no pattern of profit, then there is no crime. You must not confuse regret for rape. You must not confuse secrecy for slavery. You must not confuse a scandal for a scheme. This man is not a pimp. He is not a trafficker. He is not a criminal mastermind. He is a flawed, famous, highly sexual man, and that alone is not a federal offense. So I ask you, find the courage to say not guilty. Not just for him, but for the next person whose private life may be dragged into a courtroom under the guise of justice, when in truth, it's vengeance dressed as law. Let the law be precise. Let your verdict be just. Not guilty. Thank you.